another successful and interesting day for me in terms of classes. So I skipped morning period. I wasn't able to get there on time. So first period, I continued on reflexive verbs and did a little bit of assignment about it with the teacher. And they said that they're not going to be here tomorrow and that we have to do 200 words tomorrow with the sub. And obviously, as the teacher said, that he does not negotiate and he's not going to do anything about it. So 200 words for the entire period and conjugation verb site online. So he made this one too many that a lot of the students and him said that's one too many words. And it was an interesting joke. The class laughed with it, and he also made a little bit more jokes alongside of it. I don't remember which one of it was. So at the end of the class, I asked him, where does he get these like one jokes? Where did you find these from? Even though this is off topic from like reflexive verbs, he told me that over time as he grew up in a Spanish speaking environment, a lot of people made jokes about Juan. Like if someone was counting one, two, three, someone could misinterpret that one as a Juan. So one, two, three instead of one, two, three. I know there's a bunch of other stuff too. It was really interesting and I definitely found it kind of funny. And I'm not sure if this is across not just Spanish speaking cultures. I'm not sure where it goes from, to be honest. So, second period, instead of circuit exercises due to the wind today, we just stayed inside most of the time. I tried to interact with the friend group, but it became a little bit awkward. So, I ended up just staying on the side. They're the ones that I did play with before, but it was mostly okay this time. So, third period, we continued notes about heat transfer and heat energy. Not too much. It was a worksheet that I had to do at home, and I eventually did it. And no trouble right now for this period. Fourth period, we continued on Gandhi's revolution and learned on why did the British general um, why did British General Dyer fire on unarmed Indians? And we learned that this is when Gandhi's visionary mind and his mind to bring India to independence. This is where it kind of spiked up until this point. Then that's where he thought about full independence from the British. So that's where he thought about it. We're learning about that now. So lunch period. This was right before fifth period. It was quite interesting. This is one of my first times, to be honest. Credit to the friend group and to their other friends that I interacted with. I was thinking of a decision between sitting down with lunch with you versus just going down to the Jesus Religion Club. I was between two of these decisions, and for hours before I entered lunch period, so I didn't have stability or stable friend groups. I didn't know if I could go. But then again, I also planned to go to that same club before. And to those hours that led up to it, eventually I was like thinking, should I go with the group and maybe ensure stability with them, or should we go straight to the club? And thankfully, the plot twist here was you guys were at the club today, so I didn't really have to make up my mind for that one. And not much to go here. So I was like, I plan to go to there, and they're there too, so that is great. Probably one of the rare things that would happen to eventually occur at each other. In my mind, the decision did hover right over my head. What if they were going to be at the lunch table versus what if we should go to Jesus Club instead? So eventually, it did match up, and I have really nothing else to say about this one. Then we got pizza at the end. And credit to my teacher also. She's a leader of the club. I'm not going to name her, obviously, but she's also one of my period teachers. During the club meeting, the teacher gave a quick but maniacal laugh as the speaker made some funny remark, and something came into my mind while everyone had their head down. I'm continuing to log everyday efforts and usually stack something early. And the thought of keeping a record of what I was in high school to adulthood, that is interesting, and I'll think about it later on. But also hit me in that I'm also operating independently. And no, it's just kind of interesting to be honest. Then again, I was almost laughing in some parts because as everyone was bowing down, the song, which was mostly religious, gave like a psychological effect. That means because everyone's silent, you get that temptation to laugh. Others almost laughed also, so I almost laughed because they almost laughed. Comically, if someone was to do something weird in that silence, if someone was to make like a weird sound, then clearly people would end up laughing. So luckily, no one, very little people laughed, and I was able to hold it in. And the lesson that the speaker shared was from the Bible. It was from Ecclesiastes. I don't remember which one it was, so you guys can shame me if you want to. Then again, a thought came into my mind. This was something about like long ago. If I am both friends with sophomores, juniors, and seniors, I infer that the library girl that I used to interact with, and maybe she also hung out with seniors too, and which is, what if she didn't play the games socially that others did? What if she too was structurally abandoned, like the way that I was seeing things and recording things now? I ask again, right? This is speculation, obviously. For all we know, it could have been different reasons for whatever, but because she was hanging out with other people, I do wonder, like, what was going on? Why didn't you hang out with other people? Is it mere like my experience and that maybe I was rejected from other friend groups, or maybe it's like something different? Again, this is speculation. I'm not going to make this into an entire book search about someone's life. Then I say this also because one day I might end up being, because next year, once graduation occurs for seniors, set my social clock to zero. But this time, I have a log story. I do have something to bring on to next year instead of a simple quote unquote I interacted with. Fifth period, we watched the Shrek movie and a little bit about archetypes. We filled out a Google Doc on what archetype each character has, so that was interesting. I'll talk about that later on. Sixth period, math. This time we did mixed parabola solving, so we had to take the square roots and we also had to factor them. Surprisingly, even then again, I just had to finish it up. Just right on time. I just had one problem to do, and once I was in the car with my mom, I was able to complete that problem, turn it in. I had a little bit of trouble in trying to factor it and see GCF issues, but I was able to do it anyway, and that's great. The teacher for one of the parabolas, it was x squared minus 13x plus 42. As we were completing the problem, she made us mention the solutions in class, and it was 6, 7, and my brain went crazy. She even made the entire class repeat it because it was a solution set for the given parabola. If you guys do go to desnos.com right now and you do put that on to x squared minus 13x plus 42, you'll get the similar solution set. And that was interesting. I'm not sure if that's going to ever happen again in my class, but another hesitation fear came back during math class as a door was open. There was another person on another class on the other side that I could see, and my mind was telling at me to wave at them and not wave at One part of me was telling me just to go back onto the board and listen to what the teacher was saying. Another side was telling me to give her a quick little wave to the person, wave to who they are before the door ends up closing. So I aimed to break the fear anyway. I waved at the person at the other side of the class across the hallway. They saw me, like they literally saw me wave to them, but nothing else really happened after. I was hoping at dismissal time to talk to another different senior that I talked to yesterday, but she ended up leaving early, so I went with my mom. Nothing else today for me. Thank you guys.